to be introducing you all to Tal Rabinowitz. Is that the way you say it? Yes, there we go. And she is the founder of the Den Meditation, which, as you guys know, this entire practice has just completely taken over this industry. And she is really, really going to be talking about the art of marketing something that feels so personal and is something that you're not necessarily selling, but you are, and there's a voice around it. I'm gonna let her tell you all about it, but there you go. And again, if you guys have questions, just raise your hand and we'll come right to you.
Thank you. Hello. So let me tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm the CEO and founder of Den Meditation, which is one of the first drop-in meditation studios, and it is located here in Los Angeles. But weird, like Kate, I had 16 years in entertainment. My last job, I was running comedy at NBC, and when I was there is when I started actually meditating. High-stress job, I was going through a divorce, lots of shit that made me want to meditate. And it was there that I started realizing, how am I gonna get a regular practice? I'm one of those people, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I kind of need to show up somewhere to do something. It's really hard for me. I wish I could do sit-ups at home. I wish I was that human being so badly I would just have a way better figure, but I'm not. And so I was struggling when I was at NBC, even though I was putting it in my schedule, doing a regular program. So I kept getting online and looking for a place to go before work or after work or even like sneak away during lunch. And it didn't exist. And I couldn't, and I'm a good Google searcher, like I really am, and I put in every version of it, did not pop up. And I was actually baffled. I'm like, you can do everything, cross-training, Pilates, yoga, booty, ballet, boxing, and there was no meditation. So the idea started percolating. I don't know how much you guys know about entertainment. There's a thing we do in the spring in television where you go to New York, you sell your fall schedule to the advertisers. Okay, someone's nodding. It's called upfronts. So when I was there for upfronts, another very stressful time, I was like, oh, I want to do it. I'm in New York. It has to exist here. Did not exist in New York. I couldn't believe it. I ended up at the Dharma Center for 3 hours. Now, I love that stuff. It was amazing for me, but that's when the idea crystallized. And I said to myself, who has 3 hours to do this every time they want to meditate? Most people do not. Also, when you go somewhere like the Dharma Center, which is one lineage, it feels a little alienating for some people. It can be intimidating. You feel like, are they going to smell that I eat meat? Are they going to realize I drank last night? Like you start to get nervous that you can't be yourself fully. And that's when it totally crystallized. There has to be a place where meditation seems normal and easy and everybody can do it. Now, you guys try and rewind a couple years ago because right now everyone's talking about meditation. So I need you to get in your headspace that this idea was really novel at the time. Every time I mentioned I wanted to do it, people thought I was crazy. They're like, who the fuck wants to meditate? What is it? It's scary. We're allowed to curse, right? Okay, too late. I'm from New Jersey, I'm just prefacing. So anyway, so the idea crystallized, and that's when when my job ended at NBC is when I started the foundation for the Den. So, the Den, a few stats. We opened our doors 2 years ago, February 1st, 2016, as one of the first drop-in meditation studios. Within 18 months, so less than 2 years, we opened up our second studio, which is located in Studio City. We also were already past our first round of our 400-hour teacher training, which is amazing. As anyone who is in this industry, it's a great form of revenue, and also while you're growing, you're really certifying your own people and you can make sure they know what they're doing. And we also had retreats already happening. So now we're just over 2 years and we're just about at 20,000 people physically walking in our doors. So it's been an amazing couple years. And again, if you can rewind, with an idea that we didn't even know how to sell it to people, which is why I'm here to talk to you about how can you sell something? What is your marketing strategy? How can you brand it? Now, a lot of what Kate talked about, and I think this whole thing is going to be about, is vision. What do you want and why do you want to do it? And I want to stress that because when they asked me to do this talk, I freaked out. Because I was like, I don't think like that. I didn't actually sit down and delineate a marketing strategy and business. So much of it was just pouring out of me because I had this idea. Look, I also had a producing background, so I know how to make things happen. But still, it was really interesting for me to kind of look backwards and hone in on what was the vision and what was the strategy. So, one of the things is we had a huge challenge, and the challenge was nobody knew meditation really, not yet at this point. It wasn't being talked about. It felt very woo-woo. It felt very hippie-ish, and that was innate to the idea in of itself. How can we make meditation more accessible? So we took our challenge and really made it our strategy, and I say that with a little fake it till you make it. And what I mean by that was Perception is also based on presentation. So for us, we really went into this mindfully, not to overuse that word, but I probably will, but we really went into it mindfully of, we gotta present ourselves as a company that's been around for 5 years or more. We can't look like a brand new company. This is such a brand new idea. People are gonna freak out, walk the other way. They're not gonna hand over dollars to do something that they think is weird. So that was a big deal for us, and it really took a lot of concentration. So before we opened our doors, we made sure that throughout the whole thing, our space looked professional, our website looked professional, we had our logo, everything had to give off an air of a business that's just been around a lot longer. We needed to gain trust and confidence, and that's always been our main tenet. How can we get them to trust us? So let's start with the space. Have any of you been there, by the way? Has anyone been to the Den? Okay, well, if you want, and by the way, feel free, I know it can get boring staring at someone. I'm happy if you have the Google Chrome that you can search images of the Den if you want to look. So the space is really something. And I will say what's been cool about the space for me is when I had the vision of doing this, the space was so vivid and so clear in my mind, to the brick walls, to the color, how it had to look, and how it had to feel. So the reason we're talking about the space is because the space was essential to the marketing strategy. People had to walk in and feel comfortable. There is not a Buddha head in there, even though we have Buddhism classes. There's nothing that specifies a certain religion or any way of thinking. We have tea, we have coffee, you can kind of see it there. It's comfortable. It should feel like the everyman living room. That was a big goal for us. And if it's not your living room, it should be one that you want. It should make you feel really comfortable. It should make, especially, look, you can be very vulnerable when you meditate. So it had to just have this feeling. And people walk in all the time and they're like, oh my God, and they want to hang out. So that's great. So once we kind of figured out what are our materials, and we did a lot of brick, we did a lot of wood, and our color was kind of blue in the space, that then really kind of came over to everything else we did. So now let's talk about logo and online. So our logo, I would say we had two major things when talking about our logo, and it's the same idea. I can't stress enough, and I know I've said it already, know who you are. It's what I do for a living now in meditation. I really do. All we do is try and teach people, know who you are, learn who you are. The minute you know who you are, every day for you will become easier. And it is the same thing in business. If you know who you are, what you want to do, what you want to convey, the message will be much clearer to your consumers. So just always remember that original vision and trust the gut. When you feel like you're going too left, try and get it back. So for us, logo is the same idea. For us, it had to feel universal. That was our #1 rule, which meant right away, no mandalas, no lotus flowers, no figure of someone sitting in the posture, all the things that you would typically think of meditation. It was very mindful that we did not do that, because once again, I didn't want to subconsciously have anyone thinking, oh, this is too hippie-ish for me. We kept saying, if this was on a t-shirt and someone found it, would they automatically reject it? And for us, if we said no, they would still wear it not knowing, then it was like, okay. Second thing for us was colors. Colors were a very big deal. Blues were always in my mind, blues and greens, blues and greens, blues and greens. It was always just what I wanted to do. And it's very funny because the person helping me out with the logo always thought I was crazy, because he kept saying to me, you've been describing warmth. You want it to be warm, warm, warm. Blues and greens are inherently cool colors. And I said, I can make them warm. It's literally what I said. And I feel like we have. And by the way, people call us all the time and ask us our paint color in the studio, the blue, all of the time. So I know we succeeded. And I even told him, feel free, send me the colors you want to. And then obviously I stuck to it. But I have a funny story about this. And this goes back to stick to your gut, know what you want. So that green, again, I know these are faded, so it might be hard. You might want to pull it up. Our green that we use is very specific. The green we originally landed on, in my mind, had a little bit more of a forest green tint. It wasn't forest green, but it was a little bit heavier, and it always bothered me, like always bothered me. And I kept saying, it's just too heavy, it's not conveying the right message. But what other green we replaced it with never worked. So I finally said, okay, fine, fine. And I just kept complaining about it. Do you guys know what the Pantone colors are, or the Pantone book? Have you seen the book? Do you know how big that damn book is? Literally one day, it ends up at my door. The guy's like, you pick your damn green. And I did. I went through all the greens, and I picked about, I don't know, a bunch of them. And he said, well, okay, we've already used probably 12 of those. Let me give you the others. He gave me the other greens, and they still weren't great, to the point that forest green one was the best one. And I said, okay, I guess I had to do my due diligence to know the answer. Let's stick with that forest green one. I was in the office about 2 weeks later. We've moved off the logo. he has one of those gigantic, beautiful computer screens and everything is so clear and the logo is up. We're talking about something else and I just keep kind of going back and like staring at the logo. And I said, you're gonna kill me. There's just something about I can't get over it, this green. Do we really go through all the colors? He's like, yes, we went through every color. And I had my notes and I pulled up the Pantone numbers again. I made him go through every single one. The last one I made him go through, he forgot to do. And that is the green. And I'm telling you though, it wasn't just me. Everyone, including him, when it came up on the screen, everyone went, oh, that's it. Everybody. So my point is, stick to your gut, follow it, know what you're trying to convey. I knew what we were trying to convey, and that wasn't fitting it. And then we found it. So onto the website. Everything we've talked about now kept going to the website. It had to feel professional. It had to feel like we've been around a long time. If you do pull it up, and again, feel free, I won't take it personally that people's heads are down. Our material, we have wood background sometimes. Sometimes we use a brick background. It's all kind of the photos we use in our studio. It's all the same color palette. And even like I think our cushion background is there a few times as well. We try to pull all of our branding throughout everything. Another interesting story, we did a soft opening for the Den, which I will talk about soon, and our website sucked. I mean, just plain and simple. I know you talked about it, just roll with all the problems. And again, if my whole goal, which it was, perception, presentation, gain confidence, that website did not gain confidence. That website looked like something I could put together and it wasn't great. And now, by the way, some companies you can do that depending what your goal is and what you need done. For us, what we were trying to accomplish, it wasn't gonna work. And I made the decision to do the soft opening without a website, which was a little crazy. We did have our app, which is a mind-body app already, so at least the information we needed people to use, like signing up for classes, was ready. And then 2 weeks later, before we opened officially, a version of this was ready to go. And again, it was another time of we worked our asses up for those 2 weeks to get this website ready. But again, we stuck to our gut. It wasn't ready. It wasn't gonna represent us the way we needed to, and it wasn't part of the strategy. So let's do a little exercise because, again, I hope it's coming clear, like you really have to know what you believe and what you want and what your goal is. So everyone, I don't know if you have a business that you're already working on or an idea in your head. If not, come up with even a silly one, or if you've ever had just a random idea, just for the exercise. Write it down on a piece of paper or feel free, I don't know, is there a form? So write down a line of what your business idea is, fake or real. So I kind of have up on the dock, if you don't have it in front of you, that your logo is you. And I do mean that, because again, the more you know yourself and the more your logo conveys that, the better it'll seep into all of your business. So again, right, does everyone kind of have their business down, even if it's a one-liner, even if it's fake? So quickly, you can close your eyes and do this too. What are the first 1 to 3 colors? I would not do more than 3 colors that pop in your head when you think of it. And literally go with your gut and instinct. Whatever pops in, write it down. How do people do? Everyone have a color or 3? Okay, so now stare at what you wrote down and think about, why did you write those down? What does it convey? Really look at it and try and figure out why you chose those colors. Are they calming? Is it warm? Is it exciting? Whatever it is. And then, we added one more line. So sorry, it's not on here. So you can also think this. Also, when you think about your business idea, what are 3 words, like a phrase or even one sentence that can describe what it is you're trying to convey? And again, is it a twist on something that exists? Is it trying to present something new? Is it gaining trust? What is it for you if you had to come up with a phrase or just a couple words to describe that? And as you go through this, the reason I like to do this exercise is because one of the questions I get asked a lot is, but how did you get that vision? How do you know? How did you trust your gut? And instinct is such a tricky thing. And I think the more you can train yourself to listen to yourself and understand what it is you're truly saying inside, the easier all of this stuff becomes. And so this is a tiny, quick exercise, and even if you're not doing it here, do it at home one day. It's just, and the reason I say do it quickly, close your eyes, what comes to you, is because that first thing is usually what it is, and people miss it all the time. And then if you know it and you can be confident about it, then you can tell someone, go back and look at 50 greens and do that and feel confident about it and not be wishy-washy. So is everyone kind of there? Because then we have a cool thing with Hatchful, an app that Sarah wants to talk about. If you go into Hatchful, which is... And this is a fun thing, because one of the things I was going to suggest too is always do your research. And by do your research, like one of the things I did is I pulled up so many logos, and I just went through all of them and I just marked the ones I liked, and again, by instinct, for no other reason. It could have been like about a burger joint, one could have been about a poker tournament. Like, just mark whichever ones you like, and then I went back and I wrote down all the reasons I liked it. So sometimes it could be, the font was nice and delicate. I like those colors. Oh, I like that that was bold. I like that they used a picture to describe what they were saying. I like that there was no picture describing what they were saying. I like that it was a word. Whatever it is, go through all of your choices and write down the descriptions. And when you go back, you're going to start sensing a theme and a rhythm to why you're choosing these things, and you're going to get a much better sense about what you like. So in Hatchful, a fun thing to do is you can plug in your business area, right? Is that where it starts? And then you can, after you do that, you can kind of plug in some of the words that you might see on your piece of paper. And they'll give you actually a bunch of logos. Oh, and then you put in a fun title. You can make up a title. Hello Plants, I like that. Oh, nice. And then it'll give you a bunch of, it's really fun, it gives you a bunch of random logos. And again, for the same idea as if you were just doing a regular Google search, go through all those logos and find out which ones do you like, which ones you don't like, but write down why you like them. So again, you could say, oh, I like how bold that is, or I really don't like how bold that is. I like how small that is. I like that there's, you know, a diagram on it. I mean, you just have to be very specific what it is you're reacting to. Oh, you get to pick your colors. It is a fun thing. So Hatchful app, you guys. It seems like it's a fun thing that'll actually probably give you direction into what you, I don't think you're going to create maybe your logo on here, but I think it'll give you a lot of direction on how to figure out what it is you like. Or who knows, maybe you will create your logo on here. Okay, so now we've talked a lot about just kind of how to like dig in deep and get all that background stuff going before you actually open your doors or start business. And I would say now for us, we were at this phase of, okay, now we actually have to open our doors. How the hell do we get people in there? Again, people don't even know what meditation is. They're not just going to walk by and walk in. So for us, we did a few things. It was a little risky because here we are paying rent and we just did construction. We opened our doors for 2 weeks for free entirely. And by that, I mean classes and workshops. And I have to tell you, when I came up with that idea, my entire body softened. I was so relieved because I was really stressed out about, well, how, like, who's going to hand over like money? Like, the idea stressed me out. Not having our kinks worked out stressed me out. The idea of being able to like offer this service and kind of show people what we did and allow them to try it out with a more honest relationship really just made me feel good, and that's how I knew it was the right idea. And it was, because then everything came into play. They walked in, and then we had our space, which exuded professionalism, exuded confidence, and also calmness, and they liked hanging out there. And then everything else was working. We didn't have our website up yet, but soon. Also, we wanted word of mouth. So from my old industry, I had a lot of friends and a lot of contacts that I knew would help out. So we created these amazing gift bags that represented our vibe. They weren't just gift bags to be gift bags. It had, again, if you look at any of our photos, we have these beautiful cushions that we use to sit on. It had our cushions in there. We had our mugs with our logo on it. We had a beautiful leather journal with our logo on it, our candle. We had already had a lot of stuff in our shop. So that all went to people's houses. This is, again, right before we opened. So people were Instagramming it. So my point there wasn't to get them necessarily in the door, because everyone's really busy. It was to get the Den out in the ether. And it was, because in my mind, if Den could get out in the ether and there's an energy happening, that just rolls everything else. And it does. Because that actually helped us get a lot of press. Press was coming to us. Again, we had an innovative idea, so they were on top of it. Before we opened our doors officially, we had a launch party for friends, influencers, family, press. We did invite press. They came. We actually got a HuffPost article off of that and an LA Times article off of that. So that was actually really huge for us. We also did meditation at the party in another room so we could show people this is what we do. Now, we're opening our doors. It can't stop there. Again, it's such a baby industry at this point, and it's so new. So we continued, and we still continue with intro specials, but that one just happened to be very beefy because we were new. It was a month for $40 free for unlimited classes and unlimited workshops. That's an amazing deal. Look, we paid for it in the back end because we still have to pay our teachers, and it cost us a pretty penny in that regard, but it's different than having to put money up front and spending on a marketing campaign when you don't have the money. And we didn't have the money because we're a baby industry. We just, have to pay rent. A storefront is expensive compared, like if you're in your living room doing a business from there. So that was actually a really great way for us to continue marketing without having to put money up front. So now we are at social media. How do you keep it going? I mean, to be honest, I think our social media could be a lot stronger. Our operations are gigantic, and we were lean and mean in the beginning. So we did enough social media to keep us relevant, but we could never put the attention I would have really liked to just because we were too busy making sure our product was successful, because it was a lot. I mean, it's not just a point of sale. There's just so much going on. But I will say 2 rules we kind of have always followed with Instagram and Facebook. For us, Instagram is about promoting our lifestyle and promoting us about leaders in the wellness industry. We try and keep our events and our classes off of there. They are on there. We use stories now for it, but we try and keep it off as much as we can, our main page. Facebook is definitely for us way more where we use, hey, here's this amazing event, here's this class, you should come to it, we have this pop-up going on. We try and keep that off Instagram. Instagram for us launches, and now we do way more teacher takeovers and branding partnerships and all the stuff we should have been doing in the beginning. Now this is interesting, I'm sure you guys have talked about this all day, influencers. Influencers are huge in the business, in all businesses, and they're very important, and they are amazing tools in marketing. However, you just always have to make sure you're authentically who you are. For us, it's tricky. We are a business that promotes being you and being truthful and so it's a balance for us. And I have to say, I think we've given up a lot of instantaneous growth for more organic growth. But we're okay with that because we know that that's the business we're in. So for us, an influencer would have to come to us. We probably wouldn't do the more traditional sense of influencing just because it feels like it doesn't represent who we are. Now, again, for most other businesses, that's an amazing way to go. It's just always remember who you are and what you're selling and live it, because I think if you don't live it, it will come and get you in your ass at some point. And so for us, we'd rather grow a little bit slower in some ways, knowing that we're actually living what we're teaching. All right, so this is us. We're in 2018 now. Our first 2 years were definitely about gaining trust, gaining the confidence, getting people in the door, having them trust us as leaders in the industry, trust us as a place for meditation. Now we get a chance to actually push all of our other stuff that we've also had going on that's more under the wellness circle, not just meditation. We've had healings from the beginning, all of our workshops. We've always had corporates, but now we can push them more. Some of the things we're for sure pushing, our certifications have been amazing. Our teacher training has been great. And so we're definitely getting a shorter version, a 200-hour one online, hopefully launching in January. We're working on that now. We have a podcast launching in June, which we've had amazing guests, so it's called Den Talks. But again, it's another way of getting our brand out there that's not just 2 storefronts in Los Angeles. How can we represent wellness in a way that people understand our voice, who we are, what we do? And the podcast is a great way because there's amazing stories that represent the story we want all of our clients to have. And then retreats. Yeah, retreats we've done from the beginning, but we're really pushing them now, and it's great. I mean, 2018 alone, we have 7, 4 that are international, Himalayas, Peru, Nicaragua, Italy, and 3 that are across the United States. So again, other ways that we can expand our brand and that people who don't live in Los Angeles can come and be part of the Den family. Takeaways. Vision, 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 vision. You, just remember who you are. If you have trouble with your vision, then maybe that's not the right idea. If you had a vision and you feel like you've lost it, do all these exercises and try and get back to it, or come in and meditate, because that always helps. But be open to creating and recreating. Like I said, our logos, you have to just be open to trying new things. You might go back to the same thing, but just be open. Check your ego at the door. You guys, this is not for the faint of heart at all. You make mistakes. Kate said this as well. You make mistakes all the time, and you have to be okay with it. I like to call them speed bumps, not roadblocks. Everything's a speed bump, and that's okay. You learn from those. Take every opportunity and make it a learning opportunity. Do not take anything personally, especially if you're in a client service business. There's some mean people out there, you guys. I mean, just before I came here, I was dealing with like, it's hard, and you cannot take it personally. You have to, again, have faith in what you're doing. Make sure you're trying to do the best quality and hear them, because usually, I learned this from my old job, every note has some sort of nugget of truth. There's something you can glean from it. And be up for doing anything and everything. I trust the process, but also be up for doing anything and everything. I like to say, if you're really trying to start your own business, get ready to get dirty and be willing to get dirty for a few reasons. I mean, when we opened the doors, it was me, basically, doing everything. I was so tired. I'd be the one greeting you. I'd be the one checking you in. I'd be the one setting up the cushions. I was cleaning all the dishes in the back. I was cleaning the toilet. I mean, all of it. And it did a few things. As our staff expanded, there's a lot of respect there. Like, when I ask and demand them to work hard, they know I'm working hard. So it's a mutual symbiotic relationship. And also, I know our business now inside and out. There is nothing a staff member can tell me that I'm like, how does that work? Wait, I don't get how you change that sub. I know how mind body works inside and out. I know how to schedule things. I can help out things that I don't do all the time anymore. I can get in there and help at any second because I know the nuts and bolts. And I think that only helps you grow your brand and grow your business, because like you said, when you hear what your customers need and what they want, and you actually understand how it works, that is the recipe for success. You can only keep building on that. So you guys, thank you so much for your time. I know I talked a lot. But again, just remember you. We have
time for like 2 questions. Any questions whatsoever? No? We have one. Yes, sorry.
Okay, so if we could go back to kind of the first presentation, and I saw there was a slide on underserved communities. And you mentioned the demographic of clients that were coming to your Pilates studios. So I would like to attract basically the not-me's, which I feel like creates kind of a weird situation where I want to create a studio that's accessible to a much broader community than what is currently being served by boutique studios. But I don't know that I'm the best representation to do that. So do you have any suggestions of who to get information from or partner with, or?
So you created something because it was missing. I want to go to her studio so bad. This is a huge passion of mine. Obviously, we're talking about the emotional component and like the spiritual, like figuring out who you are and what your vision is. So if your vision is to serve, do you want to give us an example, or should we keep it general?
Well, I just want to be in a location.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
In a location that is not already saturated with fitness studios.
Yep.
That is probably my target market is probably not white women of my age.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically.
All right. Well.
Really anyone else other than that.
Okay. All right, so if you have a target of a location, my suggestion is to go spend some time in that place. Go be in that place. Put yourself in the place where you want to be. And you're going to come across people, you're going to come across, there's always a way to get involved in a community. And if you have, depending on what exactly you do, if it's something that you can go to a community center and offer a class for free, I would do that all day long. I would go to the local community center or the local YMCA and offer to do something for free in the place where you want to be. Go and become somebody that people will recognize and know as being someone who's got a vision to do something beautiful there. So I would go there. I literally go walk the streets, sit at a coffee place, go to the library, go to the community center, be there. Yes.
So at Aptive, we actually had a similar issue to that. We have a active member Facebook group of around 20,000 people. And for a long time, all of our female trainers were white. And one person one day actually posted, they were like,
why don't you have any female women of color trainers? And it actually sparked this really, really intense debate on the site about how people felt like Aptive wasn't for them because the trainers, like all the women, were white, and not only white, they were all blonde. And so, so for us, it was like a wake-up call that, okay, like our brand is also reflected in the trainers that we hire because those are the most visible people to our members. And so if we want to position ourselves as a brand that is truly inclusive and diverse, our trainers also need to be inclusive and diverse. And so I would say for you is that if your studio is in a community that's not like similar to your personal demographics, hire people and make sure that everyone they're interacting with looks like them and has a similar experience so that when they walk in, they feel included and they feel welcome.
And to that point, that's a fantastic point. Offering to mentor somebody who may not have the skill set that is required yet, but finding a person that you really believe in and shares your vision or their vision's in alignment with yours, and they want to help do something great that you want to do, mentor them. Give that to them for free. Help somebody else, because we've all been helped. We've all had a mentor or somebody who inspired us or something like that. Be that for somebody. That's amazing. That's a gigantic piece of the puzzle. And I wouldn't, to Tal's point of opening for 2 weeks for free, I would say 100%. And yeah, it's at a moment where you're like, oh shit, I don't know if we're gonna make it. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have $10 in my account by the time payroll is done. But you have to do it. You have to give it. You've got to front load the experience. Don't be afraid to give what you have, show what you have. And then, after you've done that and you've attracted the clients, don't be apologetic about charging for it, right? That's another thing, is that sometimes we feel like, oh gosh, I don't know if people are gonna value it. You've got to value it first. Decide what it costs, and don't be apologetic about asking for it. That's just kind of got a little bit off topic, but that's one thing I think is really valuable to know. But yeah, mentor somebody, mentor a group of people, create something. Sounds to me like you've got a vision to create something really beautiful, and that's exciting. Just go be there, find those people, and they will find you. That's really great. I love that.